It was November 15th, 2011, an ordinary Tuesday at Westlake High School in rural Oregon. The school day was progressing normally until 1:23 p.m. when the PA system crackled to life. The school secretary announced a code red lockdown. This wasn't a drill. The students and teachers reacted exactly as they'd been trained. Doors were locked, lights turned off, students huddled in corners away from windows and doors. Cell phones were silenced. The usual nervous energy of a lockdown filled the classrooms, but everyone assumed it was probably a precaution due to something happening in the surrounding area. What makes this case so mysterious is what happened next. As the lockdown extended into its second hour, students and teachers in at least 5 different classrooms, spread across different floors and wings of the building, reported hearing the same thing: voices in the hallways. Not just any voices, but what sounded like children's voices, whispering and occasionally giggling. Sarah Miller was a junior at the time. In her recent interview with the local newspaper on the 10th anniversary of the incident, she recalled, "At first I thought it was just my imagination. We were all scared and on edge. But then I saw my teacher's face. She heard it too. It sounded like little kids playing hide and seek, whispering, 'Where are you?' and 'Can you find me?' over and over." But Westlake is a high school. There weren't any little kids in the building. The voices reportedly continued for approximately 20 minutes. Teacher Douglas Riley, who was in charge of a senior physics class during the lockdown, described it as immediately recognizable as children's voices, probably elementary age, but they sounded off somehow, like they were coming through an old radio with poor reception. What makes this even more baffling is that security camera footage from the hallways showed absolutely no one. The corridors were completely empty. During the entire lockdown period, the school's security system included motion-activated cameras covering every hallway. Not a single camera captured any physical presence that could have made those sounds. The official police report stated that the lockdown was initiated after a suspicious person was reported near the school grounds. Police searched the entire campus and surrounding area but found no intruder. They cleared the building after 3 hours, allowing students to return home. But the mystery of the voices was never solved. School officials offered no explanation. When pressed about the reports of children's voices, the principal simply stated that in high-stress situations, people's minds can play tricks on them. But this explanation doesn't account for how multiple people in different parts of the building heard the same specific sounds. Some locals point to the school's history as a possible explanation. Before Westlake High was built in 1997, the land was the site of Westlake Elementary School, which was demolished after a fire damaged much of the structure in 1985. No one was harmed in that fire, but some believe the voices could somehow be connected to the former elementary school. Adding another layer to the mystery is what happened to the school's audio recordings. Westlake High's security system included audio recording in all hallways, standard practice for many schools. However, when investigators requested these recordings to verify the reports of voices, they were told that the audio system had malfunctioned that day, recording nothing but static during the entire lockdown period. The video footage functioned perfectly, but the audio, which could have confirmed or debunked the reports of mysterious voices, was completely unusable. Computer technician Marcus Webb, who worked for the school district at the time, resigned 3 weeks after the incident. In his resignation letter, which was later leaked online, he wrote, "I cannot in good conscience continue to work in an environment where I'm expected to misrepresent the truth." When reporters tried to contact Webb for clarification, they discovered he had moved out of state and declined all requests for comment. The following year, the school installed a completely new security system, and the administration actively discouraged discussion of the incident. Several teachers, who were vocal about investigating the source of the voices, found their contracts not renewed for the following academic year. But the students never forgot. A survey conducted among the class of 2013, who were sophomores during the incident, showed that 87% of respondents still believed something unexplainable happened that day. Many reported having nightmares about the voices for months afterward. What's even more intriguing are the connections some researchers have made to historical events in the area. Local historian Margaret Chen discovered that in the early 1950s, before even the elementary school was built, the land was briefly used as a temporary orphanage housing children displaced by a major flood. Records from that time are sparse, but there are newspaper accounts of the difficult conditions these children endured during their stay. In 2018, ground-penetrating radar was used on the athletic fields behind the school as part of a planned expansion. The construction was abruptly halted when the radar detected unexplained anomalies beneath the surface. The school board quickly changed the expansion plans, citing budget concerns rather than addressing the radar findings. Former student Jason Weathers, who now runs a popular local history podcast, has interviewed over 30 witnesses from that day. "The consistency in the stories is what gets me," he said in a recent episode. People who had no way to communicate with each other. During the lockdown, all described the same voices, same phrases, even the same unusual echoing quality to the sound. Something happened at Westlake that day that defies conventional explanation. The school district has since implemented one of the strictest lockdown drill policies in the state, with emphasis on maintaining complete silence. Current students at Westlake report that teachers are particularly insistent that no one speaks during drills or actual lockdowns, more so than seems necessary for safety protocols. Every year on November 15th, a small group of former students and teachers gather at a local cafe near the school. They don't publicize this meeting, and they mostly avoid speaking to the media about it. But according to waitstaff, they spend hours sharing their experiences from that day, still searching for answers to the mystery that has followed them for years. "I know what I heard," Sarah Miller maintains. "And it wasn't my imagination. Those voices were real, and sometimes even now, when I'm alone in an empty building, I catch myself listening for them again." January 24, 2014, started as a frigid winter day at Riverside Community College in Michigan. Students hurried between buildings, bundled against the 10-degree temperatures and light snowfall. At approximately 3:15 p.m., as afternoon classes were in full swing, campus security received 3 separate calls reporting an armed individual entering the West Building, which housed the science and mathematics departments. Protocol was immediately initiated. The emergency alert system blasted notifications to all campus computers, phones, and digital displays. Active threat reported. Shelter in place. Locked doors. Await instructions. Campus security coordinated with local police, who arrived within 4 minutes of the initial alerts. What followed was a 5-hour lockdown that would become one of the most perplexing unsolved mysteries in the school's history. Police methodically cleared each building on campus, starting with the West Building where the suspicious person was reportedly seen. Body camera footage from the responding officers shows the meticulous room-by-room search, but no suspect was located. The strangest elements of this case revolve around the evidence left behind. Though no intruder was ever found, there were undeniable signs that someone unauthorized had been present on campus. Security cameras captured footage of a tall figure in a dark coat and hood entering the West Building through a side door at 3:07 p.m. The figure moved with purpose, suggesting familiarity with the building layout, but kept their face angled away from all cameras. Professor Elena Kawasaki was preparing for her advanced physics lab when the lockdown was announced. "I locked my classroom door and turned off the lights as we'd been trained," she recounted in her statement to police. "About 20 minutes into the lockdown, we all heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow, deliberate steps, like someone was taking their time checking each room. When they reached our door, the handle turned. Someone was actively trying to get in. Several students started crying. We were convinced we were about to face an active shooter. But the door held, and after a tense moment, the footsteps moved on. When police cleared that hallway approximately 40 minutes later, they found no one. Yet Professor Kawasaki's account was corroborated by students in her class and by professors and students in 2 other rooms along the same corridor, who all reported hearing someone trying their door handles. Campus maintenance supervisor Jim Rutherford made another disturbing discovery during the lockdown. While sheltering in the maintenance office located in the basement of the West Building, he noticed on the building's HVAC monitoring system that multiple access panels to the building's extensive duct system had been opened throughout the facility. These panels are secured with special keys that only maintenance staff possess, Rutherford explained in his police interview. There's no way they should have been opened, and my entire team was accounted for, sheltering in various locations around campus. When police finally investigated these access points after clearing the building, they found dirt and snow tracked around several of the panels, confirming they had indeed been opened during the incident. More bizarrely, small items had been moved or repositioned in various classrooms throughout the building. A globe turned to show different countries, books rearranged on shelves, classroom skeleton models posed differently. Changes noticed and documented by the faculty who used those rooms daily. The most compelling evidence came from the biology department. Dr. Marcus Chen returned to his laboratory after the all-clear was given to find something that chilled him more than the winter air outside. On a fogged-up window, someone had drawn a detailed anatomical heart. Not a Valentine-style heart, but a medically accurate rendering of a human heart, complete with major arteries and vessels. Next to it was written a series of numbers, 41, 33, 19, 7, 91. To this day, no one has determined what these numbers signify, though internet sleuths have proposed everything from map coordinates to a cipher. Perhaps most disturbing was the state of the campus security office itself. During the lockdown, while security personnel were deployed throughout the campus, their main office was left minimally staffed with just 2 individuals. When additional officers returned, they found that files from several previous security incidents had been accessed and left open on the desk. Incidents that had never been made public, including a series of unexplained maintenance tunnel sightings from 2012. Police investigated for weeks following the incident. They interviewed every student, faculty, and staff member who had access to the West Building. They reviewed all security footage, analyzed the handwriting on the window, and attempted to identify the mysterious figure captured on camera. Despite these extensive efforts, no suspect was ever identified. The official report concluded that an unauthorized individual had indeed entered the campus, but had somehow managed to evade detection during the search and presumably escaped before the perimeter was fully secured. This explanation satisfied neither the campus community nor the local police, who privately acknowledged the numerous inconsistencies in the case. 3 days after the incident, a janitor discovered something unusual while cleaning a rarely used storage room in the West Building's sub-basement. A section of the wall appeared to have been recently repaired and painted. When maintenance staff investigated, they found what appeared to be a sealed entrance to an old maintenance tunnel that wasn't on any of the current building plans. The college administration quickly brought in contractors who permanently sealed this area with concrete, citing structural concerns. No official statement was ever made about this discovery, but rumors spread quickly throughout the campus community. The following month, without explanation, the college installed an entirely new security system with enhanced biometric access, controls for all buildings. They also hired 3 additional full-time security officers specifically assigned to the West Building, which previously had not required dedicated security personnel. Computer science professor Dr. Helen Park, who specialized in data security, raised questions about unusual network activity detected during the lockdown. According to her analysis, someone had accessed the college's secure servers during the exact time frame of the incident, downloading files related to student records and research data. When she brought this information to the administration, she was reportedly told that the matter was being handled internally and was asked not to discuss it further. A Freedom of Information request filed by the student newspaper revealed something even more puzzling. The police dispatch logs from that day showed that the first officers were actually sent to the campus a full 17 minutes before the first reported sighting of the suspicious person. When questioned about this discrepancy, the police department attributed it to a clerical error. In the years since the incident, several people connected to the case have reported strange experiences. Professor Kawasaki, whose classroom door handle was tried by the intruder, found her office repeatedly unlocked, despite being certain she had secured it. Campus security officer Derek Wilson, who was first to respond to the initial reports, resigned unexpectedly 6 months after the incident and moved across the country. Before leaving, he allegedly told a colleague, "Some questions are better left unanswered." The series of numbers left on the biology lab window, 41, 33, 19, 7, 91, has taken on almost mythical status among students. Each year, new theories emerge about their meaning. In 2016, a student claimed the numbers corresponded to a location in the wetlands preserve behind the campus, but a search of the area revealed nothing unusual. Perhaps most telling is the college administration's ongoing reluctance to discuss the events of that day. Annual lockdown drills are conducted with unusual rigor, and the security protocols for the West Building remain significantly more stringent than for any other location on campus. New faculty members are briefly told about an incident in 2014 during their orientation, but are provided no details. As one anonymous security officer told the student newspaper on the 5th anniversary of the event, "In my 20 years of law enforcement and security work, I've never seen a case with so many weird loose ends that were just abandoned. It's like everyone in charge collectively decided that finding answers wasn't worth uncovering what those answers might be." Whatever or whoever entered Riverside Community College that winter day remains unidentified, their purpose unknown, their method of evasion unexplained. For those who were there, the memory of those tense hours and the unsettling evidence left behind continues to haunt them. September 4th, 2018 was supposed to be just another back-to-school week at Millfield Elementary in suburban Arizona. At 10:15 a.m., Principal Diana Reyes announced over the intercom that the school would be conducting its first lockdown drill of the academic year. This was standard procedure. Schools in the district were required to hold monthly safety drills, and teachers had reviewed the protocols with their students the previous day. What wasn't standard was what happened during the next 27 minutes. The drill began normally enough. Teachers locked their classroom doors, turned off lights, and guided students to the designated safe areas of their rooms, away from doors and windows. The children, ranging from kindergarten to 5th grade, followed the procedures they'd been taught: remain quiet, stay low, listen to teacher instructions. According to the official schedule, the drill was meant to last exactly 15 minutes. At 10:30 a.m., Principal Reyes should have announced the all clear. She didn't. As the minutes ticked by, teachers began exchanging worried glances. Had they missed the announcement? Was there a problem with the intercom system? Was this perhaps not a drill after all? At precisely 10:42 a.m., 27 minutes after the drill began, Principal Reyes's voice finally came over the speaker system. "The lockdown drill is now complete. All teachers and students may return to regular activities. Thank you for your cooperation." Her voice sounded normal. Her message was standard, and the day proceeded without further incident. It wasn't until the end of the school day that the truly inexplicable aspects of the event began to emerge. During their regular after-school meeting, several teachers mentioned the unusually long drill. Principal Reyes appeared confused, according to her recollection, and confirmed by her assistant who had been with her at the control panel. She had ended the drill promptly at 10:30 a.m. as scheduled. When shown the timestamps on text messages some teachers had sent during the wait, Reyes was visibly disturbed. She insisted that from her perspective, the drill had lasted exactly 15 minutes, and she had no memory or record of making the 10:42 a.m. announcement that everyone else had heard. This might have been dismissed as a simple misunderstanding or a glitch in the school's timekeeping, if not for what teachers discovered when they compared notes about their students' behavior. Ms. Abernathy, a first-grade teacher, was the first to notice something strange. During our afternoon circle time, I always ask the kids to share something they learned today, she explained in her statement to district officials. One of my quietest students, Emma, raised her hand and said she learned that the gray hallway leads to the room with stars. I have no idea what she meant. There are no gray hallways in our school, and certainly no rooms with stars on them. Wensaki. Ms. Abernathy questioned Emma further. The child insisted that during the quiet game, her understanding of the lockdown drill, a nice lady had taken her and some other kids to see the special star room down the gray hallway. When asked who this lady was, Emma described someone who didn't match any staff member at the school. Initially, this was dismissed as a child's imagination, until other teachers reported similar stories from their students. Across different grade levels, approximately 40 children described being led out of their classrooms during the lockdown by individuals they didn't recognize. The descriptions of these people varied somewhat, but all mentioned adults wearing dark blue clothes who spoke in soft, friendly voices and guided them through parts of the school they didn't recognize. The most consistent elements in the children's stories were the gray hallway and the room with stars. Some of the older children elaborated that the stars were moving on the walls and ceiling, and that they told stories with their patterns. Nearly all the children who reported this experience described feeling very calm and said they were returned to their classrooms before the end of the drill. What made this situation even more baffling was that none of the teachers reported any students missing from their classrooms during the lockdown. Each teacher maintained visual contact with all their students throughout the entire 27-minute period. Yet these 40 students across different classrooms had somehow developed detailed, consistent memories of an experience that seemingly couldn't have happened. The school's security camera system should have resolved the mystery quickly. Millfield Elementary had installed a comprehensive surveillance system just the previous year, with cameras covering every hallway, entrance, and common area. However, when administrators reviewed the footage from the lockdown period, they discovered a 12-minute gap in all camera feeds, starting at 10:27 a.m. and ending at 10:39 a.m., just 3 minutes before the all-clear announcement that Principal Reyes didn't remember making. The surveillance company attributed this to a system update that had been remotely pushed during the lockdown, causing a temporary outage. They provided documentation, showing the update was scheduled weeks in advance, calling it an unfortunate coincidence. But many parents and some staff members found this explanation too convenient. District officials launched an investigation, interviewing all staff members and bringing in child psychologists to speak with the students who reported the unusual experience. The psychologists noted that while children can certainly have active imaginations or be influenced by each other's stories, the consistency and specificity of these accounts across different age groups and classrooms was difficult to explain away. Physical evidence was limited but puzzling. Several children returned to class with small, star-shaped marks on the backs of their hands, which looked like stamps made with invisible ink that only showed up under the classroom's UV light used for science projects. These marks faded completely. By the end of the school day, third-grade teacher Mr. Peterson reported finding unfamiliar dust on the shoes of several students who claimed to have been taken to the star room. Analysis of this substance was inconclusive, though a geology professor from the local community college noted it had unusual properties that didn't match any soil found on the school grounds. Perhaps most disturbing was the discovery made by the school nurse while reviewing health logs from that day. In the hours following the lockdown drill, 17 students from different classrooms came to her office complaining of the same unusual symptoms: mild dizziness, a sweet taste in their mouths, and what several described as sparkly vision. All symptoms resolved without intervention within a few hours, and all affected students were among those who reported visiting the star room. The school brought in industrial hygienists to test for air quality issues or environmental contaminants. That might explain the symptoms, but all tests came back negative. Medical experts suggested mass psychogenic illness as a possible explanation, but couldn't account for why the symptoms affected only specific students across different classrooms, rather than entire class groups. As weeks passed, most of the children's memories of the incident began to fade. When interviewed again a month later, many were no longer able to describe the star room in detail, though they still maintained they had been taken somewhere special during the lockdown. The school implemented new safety protocols following the incident. 2 adults were now required to be present in each classroom during drills, and a new system of accountability was established to ensure all students remained with their teachers. The camera system was upgraded to include backup power and redundant recording features. For many parents, these measures weren't sufficient. Approximately 30 families transferred their children to different schools in the months following the incident. The school board held multiple closed-door meetings about the situation, but never issued a comprehensive public explanation. In a strange postscript to the event, construction workers renovating part of the school's east wing during the following summer break discovered an unmarked door behind a recently installed bookcase in the library. The door led to a narrow maintenance corridor that had been sealed off during renovations in the 1990s. School blueprints had no record of this corridor, which was described by one worker as having grayish concrete walls due to accumulated dust. The corridor itself led only to a small mechanical room housing outdated electrical equipment, with nothing resembling the star room described by the students. However, maintenance staff were puzzled by the discovery that the room's lights had been recently replaced. The bulbs were new models that weren't used elsewhere in the school. No work orders existed for this replacement. District records revealed another curious detail about Millfield Elementary's history. Before being renovated as a school in the 1980s, the building had briefly served as a research facility for a private company called Stellar Dynamics, which specialized in educational psychology and perceptual development in children.